With the shortage of affordable housing in northern Michigan, is there a legislative solution?
Well, one of the things that I've been thinking about, because when we're in the mainland, we do a lot of motorhoming, is you don't need the big houses. We were talking the other day about smaller houses. That's less money to build, right? And we noticed a group of two houses together with a shared, garages. And so that seems to be probably the way we should go. And fortunately, small houses seem to be in right now. And it's nice to say that they can have a big mansion, but we've learned something in our travels, and that is the big mansions. The kids don't come in the summer anymore. And so people aren't needing the big houses that they thought they would, because soccer's taken over from grandma and grandpa who live in another state and that kind of thing. So I think there is a legislative thing that we can do. I've been doing community advancement all my life, and so if it's gonna get figured out, I'll figure it out. And I'm excited about it. Have I used up my time yet? Okay, so the answer to your question is there's a need, and when you build them and you run them, we just pray that they stay just as nice as everybody else's. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Frisky?
Well, I don't believe that there's a legislative solution to the problem. The main thing that the legislature can do is get out of the way, reduce regulation so that private businesses and contractors and builders would be enticed to work on housing projects. The other thing that I think is super important in the big picture of the housing thing is we don't have enough builders. We don't have, what we really need to do with our young people is engage them and try to convince them to get into the trades. There's a ton of opportunity out there. Builders are 2 and 3 years out, and if we could get some more people engaged and involved in the trades programs, we could help work on getting the housing situation under control. But if we can remove the government regulation from that, give the power back to the counties, to the townships, and get out of everybody's way with all of this excessive regulation and all the different things that are constantly what's strangling all of the construction industry. I think that's the biggest part that we can do, but unfortunately, no, I don't think a person can snap their fingers and create a legislative answer to the solution, but getting rid of regulation would be a big way to start.
Thank you. Mr. Shield?
So in 1960s, 60% of our houses were small starter homes, 960 square feet, something like that. I grew up in one. Today, there's only 30%. We're not building them, and part of that is societal. Everybody wants a bigger home. Part of that, as Mr. Frisky talked about, is lack of contractors. So I think there's legislative can help in 2 ways, both long-term and short-term. Long-term is training of our youth, getting those facilities available so that someone in a small rural community can get there. Moran Iron Works up in Onaway did exactly that. They have a wonderful building there that trains all sorts of tradesmen. And it's not at public expense. So the state helped them a little bit get it started, but now it is no longer needing that. Getting out of the way, Mr. Frisky talked about. For the last 4 years, I worked as a zoning administrator and planner for the city of Charlevoix. Rewrote lots and lots of ordinances, exactly that. Getting out of the way and enticing for for ADUs in the backyard, accessory dwelling units, for smaller homes, for 3 and 4 plexes in single family areas that were appropriate. So there is ways to do that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Loffbaum?
Yeah, I think the answer to housing is to build more houses. And I was president of the Gracie Shores Lake Association, and it's 13 lots we created, platted, And all of those people, and talking to them, when they moved there, it was a new home for them. And I think here's the secret. You build a new home and you leave another home behind for somebody. And so, you've heard the expression that a tide raises all boats, and this is exactly what happened. It's not that hard to build a house. I built my own. Did I have some help? You bet. The building department was there every 5 minutes. But we got it done, and it didn't cost that much, really.
Well, I believe there is 100% absolutely a legislative solution for housing. And that's deregulation, that's getting out of the way of the builder, the business person, and incentivizing them to build. Right now, builders don't want to build. They move to Florida where they can build lots of houses for lots of people. I want to see builders having the opportunity to build up here. So we need to attract them back to Michigan, number one. We need to cut taxes for them so it's easier for, they're more incentivized to build up here because right now they're just not. I've talked to multiple contractors, multiple builders, and that seems to be the problem. It's too expensive to build. You used to never have to insulate your basement, but now you have to insulate your basement when you build a new home. That's an extra $5,000, $6,000 on any build, and what does that get passed to? The consumer. Our young people aren't staying up here in northern Michigan because it's so expensive to live up here. We need to start coming up with common sense solutions that allow for young people to stay up here, live up here, and work up here.